Is there any way to say why your team has lost so many leads? It seems to be maybe even more than I can ever remember.
Tonight's really easy. I mean, I think it's really easy to say why now. He didn't play 3 of his starters in the first half. And he played in the second half. So it's
but this has been throughout the season. I don't know how many.
Because, Mickey, we don't play the whole game. That's why. We take plays off. I mean, when they run the ball at you the way they ran the ball at us and you can't get back and stop them, you're not going to win. We made some shots. Dom got a big rebound for us that kept us with a chance to win, but we're just not very consistent. We're not consistent in our effort. We're not consistent in our daily approach to what's supposed to happen. Truck finally shot the ball in. KJ doesn't shoot it. It's not like we didn't have shots. We had wide open looks and didn't make any of them. That doesn't help. But then when you get layups at the other end, it just really, it really multiplies the problems. That's why.
Coach, with these young guys, defensively,
They suck.
Has that been the hardest transition for them?
The hardest transition, Justin, is that you have to play every play. You can't take plays off. You can't stand and stare at the ball. I mean, the reality is there's a whole bunch of them that we ought to take, the price of the season tickets out of their scholarship because they've stood and watched the whole year. They've never participated. They've never, I mean, I've been doing this 30 years, man. People who have seen my teams play, we never got outmanned the way we got outmanned today. We've never been outmanned. We've never, we don't ever get loose. We don't get the loose balls. We have a situation where we throw the ball away, which we do a lot. So you got to have a lot of practice at it. They're going down, and one of our guys, I don't know really what happened because I'm looking to make sure that we got guys following the play and that, we don't, and somebody doesn't grab the ball, it's not supposed to grab the ball, take it out of bounds against the press. And we got a guy just stops, man. He's one threw it away, he stops. And they run by us, they miss the layup, and they tip it in. I've never had that. I've never had a guy get out of the way and not take a charge. I've never had that. I don't get it, man. I just don't. I despise cowards. I despise cowards. Somebody who has an opportunity to play at the highest level, major college basketball, who's afraid to step in front of a guy and take a charge. I mean, to me, that's just. I can't fathom that. I can't fathom accepting a scholarship and not competing. I'd tell them on the radio, and this is as frustrated as I've been since my first year at Walsh College when I went home and asked my wife, do you think I could sell insurance? Because I can't do this, man. I can't lose like this. It just eats me up. I can't do it. And these guys seemingly doesn't seem to bother them much. And we end up short on numbers, Now you're trying to survive. You're trying to win, enough games that KJ gets to finish his career the way he should. Because what I feel like is going in there for 3 hours and just running the absolute what out of them, and make them stand there and take charges and make them dive on the floor. But you can't do it this time of the year, And I didn't do it because everybody's like, well, they're freshmen. Yeah, they're freshmen. They're freshmen that don't win. That's what they are.
Bob, relative to your defense, it seems like a couple teams now have just tried to spread it, dribble by you. as surprising as anything else for you?
No, I mean, I'd like to be able to do that. The problem is I don't have anybody who can shoot, so nobody spreads. I mean, people look at statistics, you know. You look at some of the guys that we parade out there. I mean, I can kick as many in as what they shoot at. So why would you spread? You know, and you think that guys are, you know, you watch them, they make some shots in high school, they do some things. It comes down to, and I just told him in there, you know, I wouldn't let Wellington Smith shoot the ball because he had it back over his head and he shot that line drive and it never went in. But I always tell him, if you come in and you work at it, you know what I mean, you start making some shots, you make some shots in shooting drills, make some shots. John Flowers, I never let John Flowers, couldn't make any. But he worked. He put the time in. And you know, Wellington Smith came here to be a 3-man. He ended up being a 5. He never bitched. He didn't say we're screwing with his game. He went out every day and, I mean, worked hard at shooting the ball. And at the end of the day, he was incredibly effective for us because those bigs had to come out on the floor and guard him or he'd make shots. And John Flowers the same way.
Coach, when you make those kinds of comparisons, it sounds like we're talking about work ethic. I mean, is that?
You talk about commitment.
Right.
No, you're talking about being committed to loving the game, you know. John Flowers, no matter what it was, if we had camp, if we had fantasy camp, if we had, any time there was something going on, he was in there, man. If that ball was bouncing, John Flowers was in there. You know, we had fantasy camp, and they weren't allowed to work. You know, the other guys are allowed to work. John was just there, man. We had 2 freshmen that year. I never saw the other guy. Of course, the other guy didn't last long either, by the way. But, you know, John's in there. You know, he loved the game. He loved being around the game. It's hard for me to understand. It's really hard for me to understand. It's hard for me to understand. You know, my dad told me when I was really, really young that you're going to get a scholarship or you're not going to college. I'm not paying your way. And, you know, but I always loved the game. I loved to play. I loved to compete. You know, I just, it's at this stage in my life and my career, I'm finally where I want to be. You know, I love it here. I love the people. I love this state. I love being able to, at times, to bring some happiness and pride. You know, and it probably at this point in my life, it infuriates me even more that we have guys that don't appreciate that. And you know, I mean, we got guys that say the right things.
Right.
How do you say, well, yeah, I feel bad I let down the state of West Virginia, and then come out and do the same thing time after time after time after time after time. You're not sincere, man. You're not sincere. I just.
Do you think some of the fact that they aren't getting that lesson is because they know they're going to play at some point, just because you don't have the numbers?
You know what they better start worrying about? Where they're going to go next. Because we're not going to do this. I'm not going to do it. You know, that sounds hard and cruel. You know what? They have a responsibility. And I used to be, man. And I got in all kind of trouble because I try to save the world now. I try to save everybody. You know, and it comes a point in time where don't at some point in time you have to carry your own weight. You know, I don't run socialism. You know, we're not going to have 5 or 6 guys work so the rest of them can have a good time. We're not going to do that. And I don't. And that's totally different than what I was a long time ago. But you know what? You realize those people don't appreciate anything, anyways. And all they do is hurt your other guys. Don't give your other guys an opportunity to do what's right. How can it just blows my mind. If I'm a freshman, man, I'm looking at Kevin Jones for what that guy's done and what that guy's meant. And I'm saying, man, I'll do whatever I can do, man, anything I can do to help this guy.
Anything
And
else?
you guys will go talk to a couple of these guys and they'll bullshit you, you know. A great copy. Do they mean it? Do you mean it when you jog up and down the floor? I don't think so. When you get called out on national TV for not running up and down the floor by a Hall of Fame guy, one of the great coaches, I mean, top 2 or 3 coaches ever coached. Do you mean it? I don't think so. I don't buy it.